Let's do this! Oh, hey. Hello, and thank you for watching another episode of Art with Chongo! As you know, I'm from a planet called Chongo, wiki, and people seem to be interested in my planet. So I thought today we would learn a little bit about one of the other creatures on my planet. Yeah. And I thought, well, we haven't used clay in a while, so that's what we're gonna do. Let's make a clay sculpture of one of the creatures from my planet. Yeah, that'll be fun. So, without further ado, let's do it! Okay, so the animal that we're going to do is called a BumBum. You will see why in just a minute. So these guys are herbivores, which means they don't eat meat. The weird thing about these guys, well, how do I put this politely? They're basically a walking butt. I mean, they have a mouth and eyes and arms and legs, but they're basically just a butt. One of their main features is their big lips. They are friendly creatures, but they're very skittish. If you run up to one too quickly, it will take off. For a nose, they just have these two little nostril holes. They have a very weak sense of smell, which is probably good considering they're basically just a butt. I mean, could you imagine being one of these guys, like, waiting in line behind another one? No thanks. If you plant a garden, you'll have to put a fence around it. Otherwise, these guys can get in there, and they will eat up all of your veggies, or fruit, or whatever you got in there. You'll go walking up to your garden, and all of a sudden you'll see all these little butts scatter and run away. As you can see, they have a little puff of hair on top of their head, and that is the only hair they have. These little dudes are didactylous, which means they only have 2 fingers on each hand and 2 toes on each foot. And there you have it, a little BumBum. Now I'm gonna draw a side view, just so you kind of get a better idea how it looks. And because we're making something 3-dimensional, it helps to have a reference to look at from the side. I am not going to be making a rear view, as I'm sure you can imagine why. You can use your own imagination for that one. Thank you very much. We don't need to see that. And there it is. What a beauty. So I realized I've never done polymer clay on this show, so we're gonna do polymer clay. I'm gonna run it through this press here a few times to help soften it. If you've ever worked with polymer clay, you know when you first start, it's pretty hard. So I'll just keep running it through until it's nice and soft. If you use too thick of a piece of clay, it will take forever to bake and it'll probably crack. So we're gonna use aluminum foil. That's right, Al. We're just gonna make a ball of aluminum foil and wrap it with clay. That way it's not just one giant chunk of clay. As you can see, Al's pretty impressed. Oh, Al, you're so weird. Anyway, you can go away now, Al. Okay, I'm gonna smooth this out. Albert, thank you. As I was saying, I'm gonna use this rolling pin to smooth it out. Just gonna keep going over all these lumps till they're all gone. Sometimes you'll even get little air bubbles in here, especially if you use the aluminum foil technique. Sometimes air gets trapped in there, and when you squeeze it, it kind of comes to the surface and you have to pop the little bubbles. And yes, I said bubbles. Sometimes when you're doing art, your little fancy French accent will come out. If you've done art for a while, you know exactly what I mean. So now we're adding extra clay For the butt cheeks, you want to roll the butt cheek. Get all these creases out. Enhance the butt crack. Get out your special butt cheek tool. No, I'm just kidding. It's not a special butt cheek tool. But it works great for butt cheeks. So anyways, you keep smoothing it out. Try to get rid of any unnatural looking creases or lines or bumps. A crack is okay, but only one crack. One butt crack. Okay, now that your mind has been blown, I'm gonna use this armature wire to put inside the leg, and a little bit will come out and stick into the body. This will just strengthen it, so hopefully the legs won't snap off. So I got a little bit too much clay on here, so I'm gonna use this little wire tool and just cut off little pieces here and there where I have too much clay. This is probably one of my favorite clay tools. There's just something satisfying about cutting off these little pieces of clay. See, now this foot needs an arch, so I'm just gonna cut a little bit in the bottom middle of the foot. Give it a nice little arch. The clay will look pretty rough after you're done cutting these pieces off, so you'll have to smooth it out again, but no big deal. Oh yeah, kinda off subject, but I wanted to mention, if you guys ever play Roblox, look for me on there, okay? This is my name. Okay, so I'm gonna use this wire tool to make the imprints for the toenails, and I'll use it for fingernails too. And for the eyeballs, I found these little glass thingy-doos. I'm just gonna use a marker and draw on the back. Then I'm going to place them on and kind of scrape around it so I know where to cut away the clay so I have a little spot to put the eyes. And for that, I will use the little wire cutting tool again. Ah, so satisfying. Is that weird? Am I weird? Is that not satisfying to other people? I don't know. But anyway, there you have it. Eye holes. It is now ready for the eyes. But first, we're going to make the lips. Just get a piece of clay and roll it into the rough shape that you want. Then just work it, sculpt it, make it look exactly the way you want. I think my favorite thing about working with polymer clay is you don't feel like you're in a hurry. With air dry clay, you're like racing against the clock to try to get that done before it dries. And I'm kind of slow with art, so that's a big problem for me. With polymer clay, I can take my time because I know it's not going to harden until I throw it in the oven. It's also nice because it's slightly firmer, so if you set it on a work surface to work on it, you're typically not going to get a flat spot. At least not as big of a flat spot as you do with a lot of the air dry clays. Okay, now that I have the lips on here, I'm just smoothing around the edges to incorporate it with the body so it doesn't look like a separate piece. Now I'm just gonna make the nostrils, like a this. And for added realism, I'm gonna add some wrinkles on the lips here, like so. This isn't necessary, but I think it's cool. A lot of times with art, it's all the little things that you do that really make a difference. Now we have the eyes on, and we should be ready to bake. I made the arms off camera because it's basically exactly the same as the legs. Okay, so I'm gonna start with a primer. I tinted it a little bit to look similar to the flesh color that I'm going to be using. I'm going to cover the whole thing with this primer, let it dry, and then I will add the finished color. Okay, so here's the finished color. As you can see, it's slightly different than what I used for the primer. Now the BumBum's flesh tones do vary slightly, but most of the variants you'll see will be with their spots. Every once in a while you'll find one without spots, but most of them have spots. They're like little freckles. Their spots come in all the colors of the rainbow and all the tones in between. Okay, so here I did a little experimenting. I wanted to try doing some of the details with chalk pastels. It didn't work great on the skin, but it did end up working well on like the lips. I think it's because of the little wrinkles I added in there. It gave the chalk like places to grab onto. I think the skin was just a little too smooth. Okay, here I was just attempting to give our BumBum some little rosy cheeks. And I had this idea that if I highlighted these wrinkles with black pastel on the lips, if I watered down the paint, it would be more transparent and you would see the dark come through a little bit. But I don't know if I just didn't water it down enough, but it was not transparent, even though I watered it down, but that's okay. And this is where I started using the chalk pastels to highlight on the lips, and it worked pretty good. Now I'm painting the mohawk. I'm going with a blue color, and I lightened the flesh paint just slightly, and I'm gonna use that for the nails on the fingers and on the toes. And now it is time for spots. These little freckles. I decided to go with blue to kind of match the hair he has. Typically you'll see the freckles a little closer to each other around the eyes, and they kind of space out a little bit as they go back. Sometimes they'll even have the little freckles on their legs or on their arms. For this guy, I just did it on the legs. And now I wanted to give him little wrinkles where his knees are and where his elbows are. So I used my little cutty tool, and I think it turned out pretty cool. What do you guys think? Thank you for stopping by. Hope you had fun. I did, as usual. I'll catch you on the flippity flip. Bye. Everyone's got a butt, man. Love one another. We all have a butt. We all have butts, man. Stick together. Stick together like butt cheeks. We all have them. Don't split in two like a butt. Stay together. Be cool. Stay in school. Don't stink like a butt. Laughter is your best medicine. Unless you have diarrhea. Don't be squishy like a butt. Wait, no. Love each other. Love a butt. Butt. Love thy neighbor. Love thy butt. Do unto other butts as they do unto you. Be kindy to the hiney. Be kind to everyone. We all have butts. I love big butts and I cannot. Don't fear the butt. Stay safe and I'll talk to you later. Bye. I love you. Butt.